as what you have read in the Old Testament, I mean, we've just been going through the Old Testament so far. Has it made you want to become more Jewish? No? No?
It would have been fascinating to see God come down in the cloud and everything, and know that He is right there, be able to see Him. But no, that sounds.
I mean, seeing his. I mean, yes, we have the story of. I mean, we're Christian, but we can't get rid of that. We're part. You know, I like to look at it and say, the Old Testament is very gospel filled. People often say, "Oh, the Old Testament doesn't." No, it's tremendous in its gospel. You know, we look at the New Testament and say, "Yeah, Jesus died for us." Yes, He did. You know, and I'm very thankful for that. And that's why, you know, we are what we are. That He came and He paid. I mean, it was God saying, "I've tried everything else almost in a way. I've tried everything else. I made them a kingdom. I gave them what they wanted. I put them in slavery and delivered them. They asked for a king. I gave them a king. They made them a kingdom. They fell away. I brought them back over and over and over and over again. The gospel was there, and when nothing else worked, He said, "Well, I'm going to send my son," like the parable that Jesus says. You know, the man who had a vineyard, that could be us. And we fell and fell and fell and fell. And He sent somebody and they killed him, you know, and so forth and so on. And He said, "I'll finally send my son." And He did. To pay for us, and He settled the thing. But I think the Old Testament is beautiful. I love it. I wish I could read the Hebrew, but
the thing that I had the most question about is how King David gets a pass.
yeah.
I mean, every king after him is compared to King David, who kept God's commandments and who kept God's
Except he didn't.
law. He got kicked out because he messed up.
Yeah. He kept God's law, yeah, except he didn't.
Well, what about Abraham? Let's start with Abraham. You know.
What do you mean? What's wrong with Abraham? Abraham was a good old guy, wasn't he?
I know, but he was the same way. I mean, Abraham saved his life. So was Noah. And I know, it's everybody. It's us.
There was one part where they asked, "What have you learned so far?"
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that stood out to me is God has favorites.
He's enjoying what he planned.
Yeah. Yeah, he does. He does. I mean, we're his favorites at the present time.
No, I'm talking individuals.
Yeah.
He's got favorites. He picks people out no matter what they do.
I mean, and the numbers of people, you know, well, you didn't do right. I mean, king, you didn't kill that king like you were supposed to, and so because you didn't kill him, I'm going to kill you. That's not real pretty.
And he tries to catch the ark. He gets killed.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't do anything but react to, "Oh, I got told."
Yeah, I don't want that thing to get smashed. I mean, he has favorites. Yes.
You know, I kind of like that theory, because if you feel like, hey, I'm not God's favorite right now, why don't you try more to be His favorite? I mean, just like a father, you know, you obey what your father says. He's going to say, hey, I'm going to give you candy. You know?
You ain't supposed to do that. You're supposed to give him a carrot stick. You aren't supposed to.
I'm sorry.
You aren't supposed to give him candy. You're supposed to give him a carrot stick. I mean,
But you've got to understand what God has to work with here. We're all sinners.
Yes, that's true.
We're all sinners, and
Yeah.
we all fall short.
Yeah, but was
We all need
But
grace.
sinner than somebody else?
I think God looks more at their hearts, and I think
but what kind of a heart did they have? I mean, David said, "Woo, whoopee! There's that hot-looking babe over there."
though he was a sinner and a womanizer and a murderer, he
But he was
loved God. Abraham loved God.
Yeah, and so he listened to he said, well, you know, I'm worried about they're going to kill me because I got, you know, Sarah's a good-looking lady, and they're going to kill me so they can have her. You know, you aren't supposed to have, and so forth. And then there's Isaac. You know, he was a, you know, wonderful person, and Jacob, just a prime example of wonder, you know, fantastic uprightness and so forth and so on. And you go on down the line, every one of them, boom, 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 boom,
Well,
boom.
God didn't use sinners to fulfill his will. Who would he have used?
That's kind of true. Yeah,
Huh?
that's kind of true. That is kind of true.
I was just going back to, you know, everybody compares to David.
Yeah.
It's not.
As a king.
I mean, well, you look. I mean,
He had a lot of flaws,
he got one or two anyway. Yeah.
but, you know, he was a God.
Yeah, well, and he said Solomon was a good guy too, after his father David, you know, and Solomon took up with all sorts of females and chariots and horses and gold, and yes, ma'am.
I think the reason why all of the kings are compared to David is because David was the king that led the people to God instead of leading them away like all of the kings of Israel did, and how about half the kings of Judah did. That's why they're always compared to David, because he was that king that, yeah, he had flaws and he was a sinner, but he worked he wanted to build a temple. God said no, but he said, I'm going to get everything together so that Solomon can, because I love the Lord. He's the one who brought in the ark into Jerusalem and danced. He is the one who showed the people what it was like to love God and to serve him. That's why he is the one who is that base comparison. Did you, as a king, lead the people like David did?
Was it? I mean, he was.
When Josiah did all
Yeah.
of those reforms, and he said there was almost none like him before since
Yeah.
David.
Yeah. Well, number one, David was only the second king. Saul had started out being okay, but then he, you know, he felt.
Didn't care about leading the
Yeah, he didn't care about leading the people in the way he was supposed to. And I'll get you. And so David was number one. He was a great warrior and a great leader of the people. I mean, so it was, you know, he got both of them. I mean, he followed God, and he led the people, and he was a warrior, and he brought peace to the people of Israel, you know, as a king. So he was great and mighty. Yes.
Back to your original question, more like James. I'm reading a book written by the late Charlie Kirk that Stop and Think of God, and it's talking about preserving the Sabbath. And the Jews stopped Friday night, and they didn't do anything in order to reflect and spend time with the family and reflect on who God is. And we do that to some extent, but we dedicate our Sundays to come to church and to worship and fellowship. But the book goes far deeper than that, and it goes to the fact that we are striving, and our striving is saying, God, I don't trust you, that you're not the provider, that I've got to get it done, and I got to work today because I got to get it done. And it resonates with me myself, how I'm always working, trying to get something accomplished, and how I'm not getting the rest that he promised me. And Charlie Kirk, very in-depth in this book. It's a great book I recommend.
Yeah. You know, if we don't work, well, you know, got to eat somewhere, so we go and make somebody else work. You ever thought about that? You ever thought about that?
I know. I keep telling them, don't eat out on
I mean, there's so much stuff that we say, well, it's gone this way, and it's gone this way, and gone this way. Anyway, we haven't even gotten question number one. Yeah. Oh my. Hey, maybe we'll get through the first two. But anyway, despite having all the blessings of wealth and power, Solomon still makes sacrifices to gods beside Yahweh. These pagan sacrifices are generally offered in hopes of getting more. Have you ever seen syncretism, or taking ideas, traditions, or philosophies from different cultures or religions and mixing them with Christianity creep into your own life? What other sources of spiritual power, astrology, psychics, mantras, manifestations, crystals, etc., have you been tempted to look to for help? Anybody want to answer?
I've got to say no. There's nothing else I would rather follow. I mean, I did follow other gods, false gods, when I was younger, before I come to Christ. Yes, I have, but never to put it with it and have that sanctified through Christ, you know. That's hard to say. You know, we are close that way, that our lifestyle then, we try to, what's the word?
Cover our bases?
Credibility, because we claim that this is the actions of a Christian. It's actually not. Do I need to explain a little bit more there? We try to sanctify our bad behaviors by saying this is how I act as a Christian. And so there is a dividing line that Satan uses to try to confuse us and try to, sneak in his lies. But really, there is nothing on this earth I would rather worship than Jesus Christ. But God has given me everything. There's nothing that I have in my life that he didn't give me.
Luanda.
All right, my brother won't admit it, I will.
Okay.
Back in the day, we had newspapers, and those newspapers had an arts and entertainment section, and every single day I read my horoscope.
Well, who doesn't read their fortune cookie?
Yeah.
Whether you believe it or not.
I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting.
Honestly, though,
Because you want to know what
I
it's
do
gonna
not
do.
look at the horoscopes any longer. I've matured in my faith to recognize that's
I
every morning, and it wasn't necessarily that I dwelled on it or even remembered what I read, but I had to read it before I could do anything else.
yeah.
it was something to say, gee, what, this is interesting. You know.
But
Okay, yeah. Oh, in the back, I'm sorry. Just a minute. Do you want to say something?
My sister said.
Okay, Cody. You mean the family that stays together and all that kind of stuff. Okay, Cody.
We all know the Easter Bunny and Santa Claus.
I'm sorry?
The Easter Bunny and Santa Claus.
Santa Claus. That's a stretch. Don't. What about the Easter Bunny? I mean.
Yeah, what about it?
Well, just for people's information, the Easter Bunny's actually been for over 1,500 years associated with the Virgin Mary, because bunnies can actually be pregnant while pregnant. They can be pregnant, so they thought it was like a virgin birth thing. So that's why it's associated with Mary.
Okay.
That's been a Christian iconography.
Okay. I don't know about that, Carl.
I don't know any bunnies with legs.
Just FYI.
Yeah.
Because it happens around the equinox,
Yeah.
winter time, and the pagans always celebrated that as an important day, and I think early Christian church leaders said, we got to come up with something comparable with that.
We don't know when he was born, so, put 2 and 2 together and you get 16, and we make Christmas on December the 25th. Yeah. Yes.
Back in my early marriage, we went to Hawaii, and I bought a law of God. 5 years later, we went to Turkey, and we had a revival within ourselves. God renewed our spirit in our hearts, and we were at a prayer group, and one of the guys, the house that we went to, and we'd all been to Ephesus and the Temple of Diana, and he bought a statue of Diana, which is the goddess of fertility with all the eggs and stuff, and had it sitting up in his living room. And during the prayer time, the young airman and I sitting on the couch were grabbed some reason he had a hammer by the door to the balcony. He grabbed the statue, got the hammer, and the minute he hit that statue and broke it, we were released. So you can have demons in your home if you have any kind of things that is not, anything that is not of God. And so when I got back from Turkey, I went and found that love of God wherever I had him packed away, went to the driveway and broke it in the smithereens. So I did not want anything that in my house that was not of Christ.
Yeah.
So we had to be really careful because we can innocently buy things and have them in our home thinking it's okay, but it's really not. So we have to be very discerning about the little trinkets that you buy when you're away fishing.
Yep. Yep.
And speaking of Hawaii, like I've been to Hawaii also, my parents used to live there for a couple of years, and most of the Hawaiians would say that they're Christians, but there's all the syncretism with all of the hula. All of those traditional dances are worship dances to the volcano goddess, whose name escapes me at this moment. There was the turnoff for my parents' apartment. They set up these spirit stone things that are supposed to do something, that have to do like the ancestor spirits of the island or so on and so forth. Like, and all the native Hawaiians follow these things. And my parents, there was one that someone had set up there at that turnoff, and they went out and shoved it over. And another Hawaiian said, "You're gonna get something for that." They said, "No, we ain't."
Yeah.
All over the
Yeah.
island.
Yeah.
These Oriental restaurants here have Buddhists set up.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
you go through them and they've got oranges and apples and all kinds of things.
Yep. I mean, people that go into the Chinese stuff and rub the Buddha's nose and whatever it is.
And Louisiana is known for Buddhism.
Yeah, the voodoos and voodooism is still very, very active in parts of the world. Yeah, it's very scary to see some of the stuff. Okay, well, I'm going to throw out something. What about the sacrifices that we make to gods beside Yahweh? And we may not be a statue or whatever, but what if we consider the fact that we have to go to work on Sunday because I want to get that new car and I can work on Sunday and get overtime?
Technically, the Sabbath is Saturday.
I'm sorry?
The Sabbath is Saturday.
Okay, but worshiping whenever we're supposed to. Okay, then go in. Yeah, but what about the fact that we, instead of worshiping on Saturday or Sunday, one of the two?
Well, Christ showed us that you can still work on the Sabbath and keep it holy.
But what if we don't? What if we think that it's more important for us to work and not do good for somebody else, but to do good for my back pocket?
Depending on what your job is, you may be doing good. And most of the jobs that require you to work on Sunday,
Most of them are doing good, yeah. But some of them aren't. Some of them are, yeah.
I mean, those people aren't really working for Christ anyway.
Yeah, and I know what you mean. I've many times I was, beep, 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 and I had to leave during the service and go do whatever.
At the time, I didn't think of it as doing good. And my boss was my boss, and I had to work Sunday so he could be up here.
She said she'd be in church every Sunday when she retired.
Yes.
And she drives a long way to get here.
Yes.
I don't know how many people wear cross necklaces, but I read somewhere that a guy asked someone why we worship and implement a portrait.
Is it? Yeah, it's just we just wear it. Yeah, it's a. And the second question I'm sure is going to take the rest of the time. It's not all of Proverbs 31, but the last portion of Proverbs 31. And I think we ought to read that, because it's who wants to read starting at verse 10 through 31. I think that's something that is very important for us. Somebody want to read Proverbs 10 through 31? LaWanda, you're smiling.
Who can find a virtuous wife? For her worth is one of the ruins. The heart of her husband safely trusts her, so he will have no lack of gain. She does him good and not evil all the days of her life. She seeks wool and flax and willingly works with her hands. She is like the merchant ships. She brings her food from afar. She also rises while it is yet night and provides food for her household and a portion for her maidservants. She considers a field and buys it. From her profit she plants a vineyard. She girds herself with strength and strengthens her arms. She perceives that her merchandise is good, and her lamp does not go out by night. She stretches out her hands to the distaff, and her hand holds the spindle. She extends her hands to the poor. Yes, she reaches out her hands to the needy. She is not afraid of snow for her household, for all her household is clothed with scarlet. She makes tapestry for herself. Her clothing is fine linen and purple. Her husband is known in the gates when he sits among the elders of the land. She makes linen garments and sells them, and supplies sashes for the merchants. Strength and honor are her clothing. She shall rejoice in time to come. She opens her mouth with wisdom, and on her tongue is the law of kindness. She watches over the ways of her household, and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children rise up and call her blessed. Her husband also, and he praises her. Many daughters have done well, but you excel them all. Charm is deceitful and beauty is passing, but a woman who fears the Lord, she shall be praised. Give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her own works praise her in the gates.
Where is that woman?
Right here. I found one.
I married her, but you know, nobody else got one.
I do not rise when it is still dark.
But you know, when you read this, I've read it multiple times. I'm sure many of you have read it multiple times. There ain't a whole lot of them that are like that. I'm sorry. But I think the one verse, the second part of verse 30, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. And that's the most important thing of all of this. You know, the writer of Proverbs was telling his son, that's what you need to look for. And if he was going to wait till he found someone like that, he probably would never got married. But, I mean, somebody who can do all of that, wow, she's, you know, she doesn't have 24 hours in her day. She goes. She has servants too. Yeah, that's right. She does, because she takes care of them. She doesn't make them serve her. She takes care of them. But I think the main part of it is that a woman who fears the Lord. Yes. I'm sorry? That's true.
We're never worthy of God's graces and gifts to us.
But I think this is the ideal. I think that's the good of maybe all women. These are the good pieces, and it doesn't discuss the short temper or That view was priceless. I think what he's writing here is perfect woman
Probably.
is that a woman who fears God is the ideal.
Amen. Hurry up.
I think a woman, if you're married to a woman who fears God, you will overlook the shortcomings. And, you know, y'all didn't get to know Audrey real well because by the time we moved here, she was already starting to have problems. But she was a true helper. She was a true helper. She helped me in so many different ways. She was a God-fearing lady. She took care of our kids when I was wandering around playing doctor somewhere. You know, she put up with all my craziness, deciding, hey, I want to go to med school. Whoopee! You want to do what? I mean, she when I got the letter of acceptance, she was working at the hospital in Bryan, and I said, hey, I got accepted. She said, okay, what do you want to do now? But she was just a super lady. She helped build a house. She sewed. You know, 1 year, I mean, we didn't have a lot of money many times, and so she spent hours at night embroidering tablecloths to give away for Christmas presents and stuff like that. I mean, so anyway, yes, ma'am.
I was just gonna say, I didn't know her very well, but when she come to quilting, Rose always told me how she wanted to help her, even though she was.
Yeah, wasn't able to.
Well, she was
Yeah,
now,
yeah,
then,
yeah.
but Rose always commented to me how helpful.
She was a loving individual. So I miss her greatly. But I think the whole thing really is that is the most, if that's a God shot, you know, if you want to call it. And I don't know what she said her God shot was that day. I don't either. That was too long ago. But I think that charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. I mean, you see these beautiful, or what the world considers beautiful ladies who are about this thick in terms of personality and everything. And somebody just turned me up real loud. Yes.
Verse 11, the heart of her husband safely trusts her. Isn't that really what every man truly, when it comes down to it, wants?
Somebody that they can trust.
A woman he can actually trust.
But the second part of that is, so he will have no lack of gain.
Because she's not tearing him down.
And taking the money.
Spending it all.
But someone he can actually trust and be like a true team with.
Yes, Russ?
In North Korea, the women are the breadwinners. They're the ones that maintain the household, and the cooking and the washing and the child tending, and they're the breadwinners of their families.
Yep.
The men are either in the army or conscripted on other jobs. And but they're having a population decline that the government cannot convince these women to have more children because they can't feed them. You know, and so their population is in a steep decline because of it. But it does say that the woman is doing all the work here. It doesn't
Well,
mention
the man has
the man except for him sitting in the gate.
Well, he has business to conduct. He has to talk. Yes, ma'am.
You know, when John and I first married, I would tell him I'm going to go to the grocery store or I'm going to go somewhere. He'd always say, do you need money? I never said no. It didn't matter if I had $100 in my pocket.
Oh, so this one, that verse doesn't apply to you. He doesn't gain, gain isn't his because.
Do you make money? Yes, I do.
Okay. Anything else? I think we beat this to death. Okay, number 3. After King Rehoboam's, or as Tara Lee said, Ray's older trusted advisors tell him to be kind to his servants, he goes to his friends to ask for their advice, and they tell him to dial up his oppressive rule. What does it reveal about King Rehoboam that he seeks and follows the counsel of his friends instead of the older, wiser folks? I'm sorry?
Peer pressure.
Peer pressure?
He's green, number 1, and doesn't have the wisdom. And number 2, he's
60
arrogant.
years old at this point. You can't read
He's green for being a king.
They'd never done that before. Well, most kings had never done it before.
He's not showing any wisdom here
Yeah.
by following wise counsel. So I say he's arrogant.
No self-confidence.
No, no.
Or was it something that he wanted to do anyway, and he was getting or trying to find somebody who was to agree with him? I mean, you ask enough people, and you're going to find somebody who will agree with you. And if you're the king, and maybe his friends also thought, well, hey, if he does this, we can be the rulers, or we can be the overlords of the people who are serving us as servants. I think he was arrogant. He was everything that you have mentioned. He didn't know what he was talking about. He didn't know what he was supposed to be doing.
I think he had an inferiority complex.
Okay.
Because one would think, okay, Father Solomon, literally wisest guy I ever lived, listened to these advisors. You would think that those were good people to listen to. But I think he had such an inferiority complex over with Solomon that he just didn't, he wanted to like make his own thing.
Yes.
You know, it's kind of like the Moses III after being under Hatshepsut's foot for 40 years. I'm going to be king. No, I ain't going to let those people go. I'm not going to let anyone tell me what to do. Inferiority complex, wanting to like, I'm the king now, you do what I say.
Why did he even ask for help?
Because he's also stupid.
He-
Those
What did you really think about him?
That's another.
He had no ideas.
Children.
He had no.
He didn't consult.
Okay, that's his biggest fault. He didn't consult God. Yeah, he consulted man. He didn't look to people who were wise, who had been advising his dad. He asked his own buddies, they probably went down to the local bar. Hey, what do you think we ought to do with these guys, Don't know, maybe they didn't. Who knows what they did. But, so he was not, anyway. Okay, in 1 Kings 12:15, what role is God playing in what happens with King Rehoboam and his advisors? It says here, so the king did not listen to the people, for it was a turn of affairs brought about by the Lord, that he might fulfill his word, which he spoke by Ahijah the Shilonite to Jeroboam the son of Nebat. So what role is God doing here? It's part of his plan. I think to remember that number one, God's always in control. We plan, we propose, God disposes, or something like that, or whatever it is. We think we know what's right, what we're going to do is the right way to do things, but it doesn't always work out the way we think it should, and God is the one that's always in control. So,
God was busy being holy. Did Jeroboam ever think that in the year 2026, people are still learning from his mistakes?
yeah.
That's a holy God right there. He had everything in mind. He knew exactly what was going to happen and what's going on. And he used those people to teach us.
And he told them what was going to happen, basically. that what was going to happen. If you do this, boom, this is going to happen.
I was just gonna say, Ray would have, or if Ray would have listened to the wisdom of the elders, Jerry and his folks would have been under him and served him. I mean, because Jerry did say, can you lift some of this? He didn't say we're not gonna serve you.
Which, and the other thing that,
We know God wanted this to happen.
and the other thing that kind of struck me a little bit was the Israelites were not supposed to have their own kinspeople as slaves. So Daddy Solomon sort of messed up there, and that was another thing that he did wrong, because he had seems like he had conscripted some of his fellow Israelites or Jewish folks to work for him. Now, were they slaves? I don't know. But they were conscripted labor, and he put big problems on them. And that's why there was the people, the northern, the Israelites versus the Judahites. They said they were working for the South Kingdom, and they said, hey, back off a little bit. You're making us do too much. And so Solomon had messed up, putting them under him. Rehoboam was trying to continue that or make it even worse.
Like Pharaoh made it.
Yeah, gather your own straw kind of thing.
Like you asked, why would Rehoboam do that? And it would be because perhaps God just hardened his heart.
Yeah.
Like he did with Pharaoh.
And we see the whole,
His plan, God tweaked his plan.
yeah. I mean, the whole plan, the north and the south being divided, the north going into captivity earlier and the south, and how they're split, and it proved to the people of Israel that God doesn't like the way you're doing things here, folks. I mean, they had a whole bunch of bad kings in there. The north was worse than the south. But you've got a bunch of bad kings. You're following them, and you're going down this stinky hole. Until you recognize that and come back to me, you're going to be punished. And they were.
It's just a constant amazement to me how God gave us free will, and we tend to screw up everything we touch.
Yeah.
Yet somehow He makes it turn to the good and for His will.
And that's the whole gospel in the Old Testament. I mean, it's just over and over and over and over and over again that God, I mean, it started with Adam and Eve. They messed up, but He didn't wipe them off the face of the earth right away. He still promised them, and He took care of them. The whole thing, yes, a lot of people died, a lot of people had problems, but then there was this remnant that God continued to protect and care for, just like us. I mean, it's amazing. King Jeroboam's fears lead him to control and lead him to control and idolatry as he tries to duplicate God's temples in the northern kingdom. What would have been an appropriate response to his scenario in fear? What would have been what should he have done instead of setting up the temple with those idols and all this other stuff? He set up his own.
I'm not saying to repent.
He should have.
Get back to the Word of God.
Yeah. I mean, he set up his own priests. He set up his own things. He said, "We're going to do it our way. We're going to do the Church of Jeroboam," and didn't work out too well.
And we do the same thing, don't we?
I'm sorry?
We do the same thing, don't we? We
No.
let influences come into our lives, and we let them influence it. We set up our own little island sometimes. I I've got this. Look at me. Look what I've done. You know, why do we have to live our lives letting so many other things control us? And Satan tries every day. He is the most tireless being when it comes to trying to draw us away from God in Christ. He never gives up. And so it's so easy for him to influence us. And he uses other people to influence us to set up our own idols, our own temples, to do it our way. We're strong enough. Look what I've done. We should learn from these people in the Bible. We should learn from them. Don't make their mistakes.
Yep. Quick question. What we've seen about the Northern Kingdom and the Southern Kingdom, where would you like to live? Texas. Yeah. I think that's the best response yet.
I would say when he still had the priests and the Levites to follow.
Yeah. And they were at least had a little bit of something there. So, okay, Catherine, you have the prayer.
Most gracious and heavenly Father, thank you for allowing us to study your word. This morning, and also to prepare our hearts for worship. Be with all this week, whatever they do. Help us to take advantage of trying to tell others about your word. Prepare our hearts also for this great celebration of the birth of 250 years old. Great safety to all who are traveling this week.
Okay. Hello. Oh, we forgot to pass out the.
The hymns on PowerPoint are not the same. Not the same in the book. Yes.